Mr. Steer.
I'm quite encouraged with what I've heard from everybody here this morning. I think that there's no question that there's a benefit, a digital dividend, if you like. It's a great book about business called Built to Last uses a saying let's embrace the genius of the and, not the tyranny of the or. And I think that in the collective technologies, old and new, powered with a powered solution, obviously, as well, that the tools exist to make enormous progress.
Walter Fust, do you feel more confident now after what you've heard about where the money should go, where it's safe to put it?
I still believe there is a dividend, and where there is a dividend, I also put money. It is worthwhile to go for the pro-poor, people-centered approach, but combine all those who can make a difference for the better, starting with the poor, using the market approach, stressing that governments have a responsibility to create the necessary environment, and then bring in those people who want to make the difference on a national level, and bring in civil society, business. But for that, we should not only applaud the so-called multi-stakeholder approach. We have also to know how business is functioning, how civil society is functioning, what the poor want, how governments are functioning, and we have to talk to that. And there is a lot of knowledge to bring into so that it happens.
And a lot of pressure to apply.
Yes.
That you will be applying.
As small partner in the whole concept.
I think a critical factor has to be ownership. Ownership by the developing countries, ownership by the representatives of the majority of the world's population who we are labeling as poor.
Ownership that they seize for themselves.
Ownership in the sense of owning the agenda. Owning the agenda, saying what kinds of solutions do we want, what kinds of tools do we want, and what kinds of strategies do we want.
So this
because
is government-led.
too often,
this is government-led.
It's not government-led only. It's a partnership across all sorts of different actors in society. But what is important is that without that ownership, what you will have is world summits and government meetings, and you will have no sustained implementation.
We see that in the developed part of the world that there is a digital dividend. Otherwise, we wouldn't have done it. However, it's taken us 40 years. Or 50 years to actually get that dividend out of all of this technology that's been developed. And now we are trying to speed up this process in the poorer countries. But when we are doing that, we must not forget that they have the right to govern themselves and to choose what is the appropriate way of utilizing these technologies.
More and more, it is recognized by governments that they alone cannot decide. And the summit in Geneva and the summit in Tunis will have seen the participation more than in previous ways.
Yes, but will it see the implementation? Okay. Do you believe it will see the implementation?
Now,
is it going to change anything for the poor? Is it going to
change if all the partners involved do play their roles.
I think we must understand that the poor also have their own knowledge. And they have their own content also. What we have to give them is the tools to enhance it. So we must not come out with a...
Who is we?
I mean, we sitting over here like a panel. I mean, who are we to discuss what the poor want? Have we ever given those tools to the poor? Have they used those tools for themselves? We have to first expose them to those tools. They have not even seen those tools. Once they get those tools, they know how to use which traditional tool and which non-traditional tool, which new technology and which old technology. I mean, they don't want one single telephone with everybody in their family. Maybe a single telephone can work in a community. A single radio can become very interactive. A single TV show can become very interactive. A video once goes to a community becomes very interactive, teaches them how to prepare their bed when they have to do nursery and plantation, teaches a midwife how she has to reach to a woman when she's in pain and she has to be taken for an emergency. So I think the poor have to be represented. They must have a voice in these kind of panels. Just one or two of us, or maybe the UN, or maybe the international organizations, or maybe the policymakers, or the economists are not the only ones. I think the poor have to be involved more and more when we talk about technologies, because it's for them whom we are talking about.
Well, that unfortunately is all we have time for here. From me, Anita McNaught in Geneva, and our panel and our secondary panel, our audience of very well-informed people in the area of information and communications technology. Thank you for watching.